Law Talk with Nick Maruchak. Thanks to MKI Legal, your trusted employment and family lawyers.
I fought the law and the law won. I fought the law and the law won.
Parallel Park, Nick, g'day. How are you?
Hello, Bobby.
I'm in reverse park. Do you do it?
When I go, usually I'm a front-forward parker because I want to get in as quick as I can. So I go to the shops, I just want to get in and out.
Yeah,
and then
that's me.
And then if I know it takes longer to get out, but that's a problem for later. It's a problem for future Nick. You know what I mean?
Future Nick.
Future Nick, worry about that after the shopping's done. But
yeah, I'm the same, mate. Thanks for coming in. If you'd like to have a chat to Nick, please do. 1333 882. Any of your legal issues where Nick might be able to help you. And I tell you what, Nick's very good. Sometimes follows things up if he can't give you an answer straight away. But have a chat to Nick. So the state government has a contract with a crew called Purcell Kelly. It's a tender. They're awarded a tender worth close to $100 million to run the two state elections. There's an investigation about what went wrong in the last state election. Can a government end a contract?
absolutely. So when it comes to contract, it's pretty straightforward. The first thing you want to do is read the terms of the contract. And if they've breached a material term, so that's an important term, then the government will have the right to terminate the contract.
Yep.
So usually contracts have these material conditions and then non-conditions. So if you breach the material term, you can terminate. If it's not a material term, then you can't. But in this case, it all depends on what the obligation under the contract was. I haven't seen the contract, but say it might be, for example, they need to provide the personnel. So they provide the personnel, provide training, and if they have stuffed that up, then there's a termination. The government can also sue for the losses that flow from the contract. So if it costs them more to get a new provider in to provide the same service, then the difference, that extra cost, can be recovered against that business.
Yep.
But if they get it wrong and they don't have the right to terminate, then the business can, the personal Kelly can sue the government for its losses and the lost profit it would have lost under the contract.
Yeah. All right. So the key word there being material, whatever's how it's described in the contract. Thank you, Nick. Nick Maruchak with us from MKI Legal. If you'd like to call in, you can. Colin's done that. G'day, Colin.
Good morning, boys. Yeah, we've got an instance where a woman was driving along in a four-wheel drive and she hit the curb. Then she come over into our property and she couldn't control the car because of the electronics or whatever. And she deliberately crashed into a 30-year-old frangipani, which had a circumference of about 400 millimetres, very big one. He smashed that over. Then the car took off next door over a retaining wall, then came back into our property, then went down the laneway and smashed into the fourth unit on the adjoining property. What I would like to know, I don't want to claim on insurance because of my excess. Can I claim anything against the woman, or how do I contact the insurer, the car driver's insurer, or am I wasting my time? It would probably be under $1,000 repair work.
Yep. So the easiest way is obviously just go to your insurance company, have a discussion with them, see if there's a no-claim bonus. Go through that process, right? Because that's really simple, and the stress will be off your back. But if you want to do it yourself, it's going to take some work. So the first thing you want to do is, have you got this woman's details? Do you know how to contact her? Do you know where she lives?
No. I have contacted the insurance, but there's a $1,000 claim. They approved the claim, or we're going to process it, and had people come out to have a look at the damage. But I'm saying that I've got to spend $1,000 excess.
So is the damage to the tree and the retaining wall? Is it?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. So do you have this woman's address? Can you find her?
No, I was away at the time. By the time I got there, all the police and ambulances, everything else had gone. And I don't know anything. It was just told by my neighbour that she deliberately ran into the tree to try and stop the vehicle. She said that the vehicle just took over, as the new ones do, apparently. She had no control of it, so she deliberately went in a murder.
To try and stop.
Whether it's deliberately or not, it doesn't matter. I mean, she's in a panic or something, and the car just took off because she couldn't control it.
All right, so we don't have any details. So
Okay.
what can...
It's going to be hard. So
Yeah.
first I'll say this woman's probably broken the law for careless driving or dangerous driving, right? So the police should be involved. Hopefully the police will be able to get the evidence and find her. If you don't have her address, it makes it really hard because what you have to do is you have to sue her in the civil court system. And as part of this, the process, you have to actually serve her the claim. So the court claim has to be, you have to give it to her in person or leave it at her house. So if you don't know anything about this woman, then you have to take steps to try and find her. How can you do that? You might have a registration number. If you have a registration number, then you can go to the Supreme Court and apply for something called pre-action discovery. There's a process where if another organisation has evidence that can help you find the identity of a person you want to sue, then the Supreme Court will basically give you a court order to force that agency to give you evidence. In this case, the Department of Transport will have all their details, so then you can, through the court system, get her personal information, such as where she lives.
Yeah. All right, Colin. Good. I don't know if Colin's going to be able to do that. By the sounds,
it's complicated.
He wasn't there. Yeah. Colin, good luck, mate. I don't know what to offer there. It might have to shout out. Yeah. I mean, you'll lose your known claim bonus, but at least if the damage is more than $1,000, at least you'll be looked after there.
Yeah. So you basically just let the police do their work. See if you can. See if the police will give you updates of who she is, and then maybe you can get the information and then sue her in the magistrate's court.
Thanks, Colin. 133 882. If you'd like to speak to Nick Maruchak today from MKI Legal. Extraordinary story that we've seen in the newspaper this week that WA authorities have admitted they can't track people using tracking bracelets. Domestic violence offenders in the regions. The technology doesn't work, Nick. That's extraordinary.
Oh, absolutely. So with this technology is supposed to basically, if it's a GPS tracking, right? So these offenders, when they're released on bail, they have GPS tracking. If they go into a certain location that's close to the victim's house, the police are alerted, and then the police can come in and stop a potential offence, right? So it's supposed to give victims a bunch of a lot of peace of mind, and they've admitted that these things don't actually work in the regions, right? So the outside of the Perth area doesn't work. So that's a big problem for domestic violence victims and victims of crime, where we don't have enough resources there to protect victims from these violent offenders. So I think that's just the laws have changed recently to give this monitoring is quite an extreme thing, right? So it geo-tracks your location. So I think the government needs to do a bit more just to invest in infrastructure in regional areas, so this works properly. Yeah.
Yeah, I would have thought so. I mean, it's, you can track your phone just about anywhere in the world. I find that incredible that they don't have that technology. I really do. 133 882. If you'd like to speak to Nick Maruchak, please give us a call. Our breakfast team spoke to a lady called Alana Weatherly this week, Nick. She lost her home in a fire, and then some scammers started up a GoFundMe page. They only amassed $105, I think, from memory. But what would happen there? What would happen to the scammers, and what's the sort of punishment for that?
So if they catch the scammers, then the punishment would be criminal prosecution, right? So they'll be prosecuted for fraud. They could get a criminal record. So the hardest part is actually catching them. Sometimes these scammers are based overseas, and then the federal police are working with with police agencies overseas. It can be very hard. But basically, GoFundMe has systems in place to prevent and reduce scams. So my understanding is GoFundMe will, when you donate the money, they hold the money in escrow. There's a certain wait period, and if you get in early and report a scam, then the money won't be sent to the scammers, and GoFundMe can just return the money to all the people who've donated. If they don't catch it and it goes to the scammers, it's really hard to get it back. We have some systems in place where AFCA, now you can go to, if you've been scammed by there's obligations on banks and technology companies and financial institutions to prevent scammers attacking your account. So So they have to take reasonable steps to prevent scams from happening and prevent you from being scammed, such as a bunch of different stuff like real-time monitoring and stuff like that. This process is being developed. So if a bank or a tech company or a financial institution doesn't have robust systems in place to stop the scams, and you do get scammed, then under these new laws that have just gone through, that are being implemented, you can actually recover your losses from the tech company or the bank. So and you can go to AFCA for that very soon, and then AFCA can give you compensation.
Yeah.
So,
right.
But that law is being implemented. It's not quite there yet.
Yeah. All right. Nick Maruchak's with us. G'day, Chris.
G'day, gents. How are you?
Good, mate.
My daughter bought a vehicle off dealership in Maddington last year in March. She had the car for 4 weeks and she had to take it back for timing chain repair. Dealership gave her a loan vehicle. She then picked the car up 2 weeks later, took it back again for wine in the motor. Dealership again gave her a loan vehicle, but the car's been in there since being repaired for the last 12 months now. Is there any way we can get reimbursed for this vehicle?
So you bought it from a dealer. So when you buy it from a dealer, they have to give you a statutory warranty, and the warranty depends on how old the car is. But if it's less than 10 years, normally the warranty will be 3 months, right? So you got a warranty like that for 3 months, and that's why they're doing the repairs.
Yep, we got the warranty, and in the warranty period, it's gone back to dealership, and it's been there since. We've spoke to them yesterday again, and they said no, they found something else wrong with the motor again.
Okay.
They're going to send it away again to some third party.
So, and did you tell me correctly that it's been 12 months?
It's been 13 months today to the date.
Yeah. Okay.
13 months. Okay, so that's probably so basically. Have you taken steps to ask for your car back now, for the money back and for the refund?
We haven't yet. We've had a meeting with the dealer, and he said to her, look, we're going to fix it for you and give it back to you in a decent shape. And that was December last year, we're supposed to give back to her. They then said no, they found something else wrong and sent it back to another dealership. It took so long for spares to come from over from England. And then there was something else wrong with the motor, and then they had to do the timing, and then something else was wrong. And now we spoke to them a week ago, and they said no, they found another problem with the engine again. Yep.
So you would just so under Australian consumer law, they have to provide that the vehicle has to be of acceptable quality. So you can say that, and so what happens is the dealer will have a reasonable period of time to fix the issue. If they haven't fixed the issue in a reasonable period of time, and I say 13 months is probably past that, you can say, look, you can say under Australian consumer law, I would like a refund, I'd like my money back, and push that. So I would press that. How much money are we talking about here?
34,000. That's what she paid for the car. She's paid 9 deposit. She's paid the installments for a year now, regio and registration and licensing. And yes, I must say, they're given a loan vehicle to use while they're looking after her car. But that's really besides the point. You're paying for something you haven't got.
Well, that's right. And usually when goods are sold and there's a problem, the person selling it has a reasonable period of time to repair it. And if they can't fix it in that reasonable period of time, then you can end the contract and ask for your money back.
Okay.
I'll just say for this warning, though, because your claim is more than $10,000, that means that if you decide to sue them, you would have to go in the magistrate's court. There could be a cost risk, right? So if you sue for the money and you lose in court, then you could pay their legal fees. So that's why claims under $10,000 don't carry that cost risk, but claims over $10,000 do. So you want to try and negotiate them first, push the Australian consumer law, tell them it hasn't been done in a reasonable period of time, money back. Then you can go make a complaint to the Department of Commerce, go through that system. But the Department of Commerce, they're not a regulator. They're not a court, so they'll just do mediation. So it's not entirely effective at times, but you could try that as well.
Yeah, Chris, thank you, mate. Good luck. Let us know how you go. We'll take a break. It is 12 minutes to 11 o'clock. Nick Maruchak's with us. Roy, Sue, stay there. Back with you after these. Law Talk with Nick Maruchak from MKI Legal continues. G'day, Sue. Thank you for calling.
Good morning, Simon. Good morning, Mick. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you, Sue. Fire away.
Yes, I was just wondering if you could help me. The neighbours at my parents' house bring their cat out of their house and put the cat onto their property my parents' property, for it to do its business. And it's a regular thing. It's all on camera. It's all there to see, and it's past pleasantries now. And our garden has been full of crap. We've had and the second part of the question is that they have a wasp nest, which my daughter is allergic to, and we've had the house sprayed. They refused to spray their house or spray the wasp nest. The people behind us have had their house sprayed. Everyone had to spray because they've had the same problem with nests on their property from this nest. The pest controller has said that it's obviously that's where the queen is or the king or whatever, and it needs to be sprayed. Can I do anything about that?
So I'll start with the cat issue. There is the Cat Act, right? So we have legislation in place that governs owners' responsibility when it comes to cats. So if the cat is going on your property, I would suggest you call the local council, tell them about it, because the local council can take steps, can give certain notices under the Act to direct the owner to do certain things. So have you tried that step with the local council?
We've been to the council, yes, and also she takes a dog to the park to get knocked up so she can breed the dogs.
But Sue, what council are we talking?
City of Stirling.
So the City of Stirling, what are they saying about the cat? Are they not helping?
When they go, they say that she produces a cat, and so they've only got one cat. No, it doesn't go outside. My daughter has it on camera.
It's on camera, isn't it? Does she show that to the council?
It's all on camera.
Have you showed that? Yeah.
Yes.
And
I'm baffled as to. Yeah. I thought we had this Cat Act, and you had to keep your cats in, and you weren't allowed to. And also, the guy that came to spray, he said that that cat, is because it's all filming, has been doing its business on top of the house as well.
Yeah. All right. So I'll put you back to Anne and Sean, and we'll try and follow it up for you because that's no good. That's hopeless. That's especially if it's on camera. G'day, Roy.
Good morning, chaps. It's all about neighbourly love, isn't it?
It is, yeah.
I've got I live in a 3-unit complex, strata titled. The guy at the front, where the main access is, or egress and whatever, he insists on washing his car right in that area. So if there was a fire in any of the other units, then no one would get out, at least not in a hurry. And previously his son used to have a boat and he'd wash it down in the same place. We fell out over that, and the boat went, and now he's into washing cars. And we've fallen out again, which is not very pleasant. And I just wonder if there's any sort of unwritten law or written law that says you cannot block the access to a block of units in case of fire or danger or hazard or whatever.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
Yeah, so this is governed by the Strata Titles Act. So normally there's a strata company and they will have something called bylaws. These are the laws that regulate that everyone has to follow. And you read the bylaws and it'll have something in there to avoid obstruction. Now, you said you only have three units on the block, so you may not have a strata company operating in your case. Is that right, Roy?
Sorry, I overspoke you. Can you repeat that, please?
Have you got a strata operating on the entire complex? Are you strata owners?
Strata type? No, we don't. We avoided that because if you've only got 3 units, you can vote not to have one.
Yep, sure.
So we don't have a strata company.
Okay, got it. So what you can do is, so you can go to the State Administrative Tribunal, and the State Administrative Tribunal can hear all the evidence, and then they can make a direction to that person to stop the obstruction. And especially if this is common property, obstructing the entrance to common properties would, in my view, likely be against the strata titles bylaws and the regulations. So State Administrative Tribunal is where you go. So the first practical step would be obviously have a chat to him, ask him, maybe send him a letter, threaten to go to the State Administrative Tribunal. And if that doesn't work and he keeps doing it, then you can get that order from SAT that will basically make him stop. And there's potentially penalties in place as well if he keeps breaching after that.
Try that, Roy. Thanks, mate, and let us know how you go. G'day, Tim. How are you, Tim?
Hello.
Yeah, far away, mate.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I'm just ringing, no problem, just with wills, what sort of ballpark figure am I looking at? I mean, I don't mean the mail order ones, but to involve a lawyer to get one set up, that sort of thing. But sort of family's growing, and I'm thinking of I've never done one. So.
Yeah, no, let's see what Nick thinks.
Yep. So you can go online, and they can be about $150 online. For a simple one, a lot of these online companies are quite good. There's also companies such as that might provide a free one as well online. So that's kind of one option to have a look at, because wills in their essence are really simple. You just need to nominate the executor. You need to basically says my estate goes to these beneficiaries, and you need to sign it and have two people witness it. But with a lawyer, if it's a simple will, a lawyer might go, most lawyers do this for fixed fee, about $300 to $500. If you start to get more complicated, where you're having really specific customized clauses, or you want to do something called a testamentary trust, which is when you die, your assets go in a trust and it lasts for 80 years and it minimizes tax, that can be like $1,500 to $2,000. That $800 to $1,500 to $2,000 is kind of the pricing. So I'll just call a bunch of lawyers around, find out their pricing. If a simple will suits your circumstances, then $300-400 would be maybe $5.
Yeah.
If you get two, sometimes you get it cheaper.
Yeah.
If you and your wife get it.
Yeah, there you go, Tim. Thank you very much, mate. Good on you. Thank you, Nick. Have a good day, mate. We'll see you next week, hey?
Thank you, Bowie.
Thank you for talking to our listeners with expertise and care. Nick Maruchak from MKI Legal will be back with us next week.